Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. This is the Patek Philippe. I love shelve the sports watches because what we have here is small, complicated, and rare. Even by Patek Philippe standards, it is uncommon to encounter a 5372P. And this is the 5372P-001, a variant that was made from 2017 until 2022. Yes, it was an application piece, and yes, it's uncommon. This timepiece, only 38 millimeters in diameter in platinum. You can see between the lugs a top Vesselton diamond, letting you know this is a modern day platinum Patek watch. So 38 in diameter, 13.2 millimeters thick, 46.8 from lug to lug, with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We have a full clasp here in platinum single fold with the Calatrava Cross. Pop this open. You can see it's fixed by a little radial spring for security. Patek Philippe branded internally, confirming that Patek still gives you a platinum buckle with a platinum watch. I put this one on the scale, 135 grams, so despite being a strap watch and fairly tiny, it has a mighty mass to it. Taking a look at the strap, you can see a combination of rectangular scale alligator leather with a little bit of a distressed grain, a gloss finish. A dark blue, you can see there's a folded edge, a monotone stitch, calfskin on the bottom. And we have little pull tab spring bars so you can pop the strap out of the case without a tool. We have little white gold cabochon at the ends of the platinum lugs, and these lovely recessed case bands satinated from end to end. We'll throw this watch on my wrist, 16 centimeters in circumference, get a look at how it fits and how it feels. Now the strap is stiff, it's not broken in, I'm pulling it tight, but just look at this down the barrel angle. You can see how much clearance I've got on each side. You could wear this on a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. As soon as the strap softens up, it's going to be a lot easier. We've got a relatively thin watch with a concave bezel, so yeah, it'll slide under a cuff. My wrist is 16, but even our ladies are going to find that this wears just fine. So if you are among the ranks of the women who've joined the luxury watch fraternity, it's now, I guess, the co-ed. In the last few years, you probably noticed that there's a lot of cool watches out there, but some of them are just flat out too big. This is a way you can have it all, smaller size and matchless pedigree. Now, the timepiece features a monopusher split-second chronograph, and it works a little bit differently than you probably think. So this right here is actually the split trigger. The coaxial pusher in the crown is the start-stop. So you've got the ability to split the seconds, and you've got two column wheels on the case back, da and da, that allow that to happen. So you can see there's a pincer system at the center that will stop that second hand, and then we've got that primary column wheel. The action of the split is super light, and the action of the primary is incredibly crisp. I should also mention that this works a little bit differently than the better-known 29-535. This is actually the 27-525 caliber that first bowed in 2005 on the 59-59. So this is a smaller movement. It works a bit differently in that you'll notice that the minutes are sort of a dragging and scrolling minute rather than a jumping minute. Also, that instead of a 30-minute register for the minutes, you've actually got a 60-minute register, which I prefer. I think it's more useful. You've also got a movement that, although not as big as the 29-535, is still quite large for this case. So you have these outboard indications for the day and the month of the Perpetual calendar. There's a pointer date down at the bottom. We have a day-night indicator, so you know if you're looking at day or night. White is day, blue is night. It's your little danger zone indicator, so you know when not to use these little triggers to set the calendar. The watch does feature a hacking seconds function, so when you pull the crown, it does stop. That's been a feature of most modern scratch-built Patek Philippe chronograph calibers. And the 27-525 was a very early manufacturer Patek chronograph caliber, probably their first series production chronograph caliber made entirely in-house. And again, the base launched in 2005, and I believe in 2010, this version of it, which is a mouthful, it's the CHR 27-525 PSQ, but this launched originally on the 59-51, I believe, in 2010 as a split-second perpetual calendar. Now, we've also got a leap year phase indicator. We've got a moon phase. The perpetual calendar doesn't need to be reset until the year 2100. The moon phase has a 122-year adjustment interval, so it's just 122 years from the last time you set it. Hands are faceted down their center, and they actually have a double facet, so they're easier to view against the dial base. We have white gold hands, white gold indices and numerals, so they won't oxidize or tarnish over time. Get close, you can see the sub-registers have an azurage or a concentric pattern, and then the primary dial is a metallic blue brushed sunburst. And we've got a track outboard, including these delightful open sixes that allow us to read the chronograph seconds and fractions of seconds. Taking a quick look now at the case back, I've seen a lot of 29-535s, and what I'll say here is that it is, in subtle ways, a more time-consuming and impressive decoration. And it's a little bit difficult to articulate this without having them side by side, but let me take a shot at it. So on this 27-525, in particular the clutch assembly, which has 1, 2, 3, 4 really well-defined sharp interior angles. This is comparable to the clutch you'll find on a Lange 951 on something like a Dotograph or an 1815 chrono. This is a much more finely decorated and time-consuming exercise for this chronograph clutch. You can also see that there is a little bit of a taper there where two bevels come to a point, and that is, if anything, more difficult to achieve than an inward angle. Another thing that sets it apart is that it has these large gold chaton-style jewel settings, and the elaborateness of or the elaboration or the elaborateness of that does put it in a different category than the 29-535. Other things, well, if you look at the column wheel and the bridge for the split-second functions there, what you'll find is that it's a little bit more resolved, less chaotic, more orderly, more exquisite in detail as you get closer than the corresponding superstructure on the 29-535. So I just want to emphasize that although these movements have a lot in common, there's also a lot that sets this apart. Another thing that sets this apart from the 29-535 is the beat rate. The 29-535 is a 4 hertz, this is a 3 hertz. Other things are more comparable. We've got a lateral clutch, we've got 2 column wheels for the split and the primary chronograph. We do have the overcoil hairspring, it's metal, it's shaped by hand. We have 6-position adjustment, free sprung, gyromax style balance, it's 31 joule movement, and a 48-hour power reserve compared to the 65 on the 29-535. You can also see that the minute scroll is present over here in the place of the instantaneous minute jumper, the 29-535. The main advantages of the 29 are going to be larger size, the instantaneous minute jumper, and the longer power reserve, whereas here you're getting a much more intricately and exhaustively decorated movement, and it's really quite special for that. So given a choice between the two, I would opt for beauty. You can even see little details. You can see this bridge adjacent to the capped column wheel. Look at that deeply drawn inward angle, just tiny things that set the 27-525 apart. All this in theory, 30 meters water resistant, but I don't know if you want to test that theory. Splash and rain exposure only. If you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.